Hello, everybody. This is Warrior of the Planet. Today, we're going to be talking about how there's been ancient reptilian reptoid people living amongst us for thousands of years. The ancient Sumerians depicted them as the Anunnaki, and they were supposedly the first civilization to inhabit Earth. But in ancient Sumerian tablets, they were depicted as uh, ancient, beings that gave them knowledge and all this technology, like tactics of warfare. And they're always depicted in statues, with a reptilian, different creatures, hybrid creatures, and half reptilian, or like they always have wings. Supposedly they came from the sky, but they're always depicted as they were great beings that had taught them all this knowledge, taught them all this technology. But the ancient Sumerians and ancient Babylonians, they were around some pretty crazy stuff. That's why they don't want to tell you all this in the modern days, but we have to find out about it so we can know how to prepare ourselves for it. And I mean, it's crazy the stuff that they were encountering. Even in the times of the Aztecs, their god was Quetzalcoatl, a flying serpent that came from the east. They had taught them all this, the human sacrifice, and they also taught them the ways of cannibalism and all this gruesome stuff. And they were also depicted as teaching them all this knowledge, but they don't want to tell you that there's actual reptilian people living amongst us. That they disguise themselves as human, but they're reptilian and they're shapeshifters. And it's crazy, man. Seeing someone that's shapeshifting. Supposedly, you see a lot of people that on the news that they can shapeshift sometimes. But I mean, if you would have seen, I mean, if you saw someone shapeshift in front of me, I mean, you'd be pretty scared. I mean, exactly. That's why they don't want to tell you that stuff. But I mean, we have to find out about it. I mean, because what if one day it just comes out of nowhere? We're not gonna be expecting it, and it's gonna hit us very hard. It's gonna be very crazy. So that's why we have to be prepared for, and just know what's up. And right here, we're gonna be watching what ex 90th degree Mason has to say about the reptilians.
We have the reptilians. These supposedly come from the constellation Draco. And as some of you may know, Draco is the Latin word for dragon. It's the dragon that's in the heavens. These are carnivorous, cannibalistic, and 7 feet tall. They exist at the top of the alien food chain. They like to eat people. The tenderer, the better.
Let's devour him like insects.
I don't think he's our commander.
Let's transform.
I'll eat him. No.
They also will eat other aliens if they're hungry and the mood strikes them. These are very, very cruel and very, very nasty, but supposedly they are the administrators. They are the people running things behind the show, and they have been recently cited, and by recently I'm relatively like the last 20 or 30 years, by numerous people, myself included, and they're not something you'd want to run into in a dark alley. Reptiles and fish, which a lot of times in biblical lore you will see the two kind of intermingled. What I believe is that Lucifer was originally the 5th cherub who covered, and he was the cherub of the reptile kingdom, just like the others were the cherubim of the other kingdoms. And that's why after he fell, he took a serpent and somehow possessed it so the serpent could speak and talk to Eve and tempt her. Is because he had that natural affinity with the serpent kingdom. Some people actually teach that if you believe in this, I don't know, this is one of those things Christians argue about. We love to argue about stuff, don't we? Anyway, the idea of the pre-Adamic creation. Some people believe that Lucifer was given a throne and a kingdom before man came on the earth. And that's why in Isaiah 14, what does he say there? He says, I will lift up my throne and ascend to the heights. He already had a throne. He was the king of the earth. And some people believe that his kingdom was a race of intelligent reptilians, which we now see as dinosaur fossils. Just something to think about.
Okay, now we're gonna be listening to Alex Clear. Supposedly he's a channeler, but he knows a lot about the reptilian reptoids and their agenda against humankind. And the information is pretty shocking, but let's just hear what he has to say about the reptilian.
A lot of agendas here, hidden agendas. And you have to understand that some of the races, for example, the Draconians themselves did not evolve as a life form in our universe. They were dumped here. They were brought here because they're just a pain. They're incredibly smart, they're incredibly psychic, they're incredible builders, but they're bullies. Their whole thing is control, domination. And because there's no race in our universe that can really beat them up and wipe them out, they don't have to choose light or dark. They're just where they are. And they've chosen the opposite polarity. They're a tough bunch. They've manipulated a lot of civilizations throughout our galaxy. They're also responsible for the 600,000-year war, which almost annihilated the human species in our galaxy. And they show very little remorse about it. Hopefully they'll be leaving soon.
Now we're going to be talking about how these ancient Anunnaki were intermingling with our ancient ancestors through warfare and, just like chaos against one another, and just different total chaos, and like how they just started to get a hatred towards us, and they were just having warfare with each other and us too, and it was crazy, man. Until the ancient times, there were crazy stuff going on, man. Even in the Mahabharata, they depict that. The next person we're going to be listening to is supposedly from the sources of David Icke, is that Zachariah Sitchin is a shapeshifter. He's a reptilian disguised in human form. Let's hear what he has to say about the ancient wars.
The spacecraft, one of the pharaohs. So there's no doubt that there too the facility for being taken aloft did exist. However, it does not exist anymore. Baalbek still exists in ruins, but the spaceport in the Sinai does not exist because in one of the next wars between the various clans of the Anunnaki, the Enlilites, the Enkyites, Ninurta, Marduk, etc., they resorted to the use of nuclear weapons. And the spaceport in the Sinai was a target. And you can see to this day two things. One is you can see the immense cavity to this day from space. This is a NASA photograph. And the crack in the peninsula is the result. And if you go there, which I did by myself and with a group, if you go there, you find in that particular spot, you find in the middle of pure white limestone mountains. Everything is pure white. You see a huge field with broken, burnt, and totally blackened rocks. And one of the visits, I took samples. They were tested. There's possibly some radioactivity, but it's inconclusive. But in 2024, almost 4,000 years ago, the Anunnaki resorted to the use of nuclear weapons. There is a long text called the Era Epic, E-R-R-A, Epic, that describes the reasons, who did it, how they did it, what the number of nuclear weapons that were used in 2024.
Now, how and why was it first brought into existence, the Andromeda?
I don't know.
When did
I do know that it was formed. It was formed shortly after the Orion Wars, which was a huge war that lasted 600,000 years in our galaxy. And it was predominantly between the humans, the human race, of which there's all kinds of humans, hundreds of billions of humans, and those of reptilian races that do coexist in our galaxy.
Now,
There was no winner, by the way. Apparently both sides got so tired of killing each other, they just kind of just stopped, and a undeclared truce was formed.